There's still not a mark on you.
You know him? Fuck yourself, Payne.
I've tried. Believe me, I have tried. Ooh, that's damn fine coffee.
It's tea.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
Howdy there, Bartek. How are you doing?
Howdy there, Ryan. Yeah, I'm doing well now that I'm here.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm
Howdy.
tipping my hat to you. Howdy. Howdy.
Howdy.
This is, yeah, I knew you were going to do it. Howdy. This is where we live, in the howdy zone. Howdy?
Remember last time we did a West and I said howdy? Like, you said that weird.
Mm-hmm. You did. Play the tape again.
I still don't understand what I did that was weird, though.
Play the tape again,
You were
Ryan.
like, you didn't say the why. I'm like, well, yeah, I was thinking, like, how dare, howdy.
I like that you just said it, like you just said, I just said it like this, and then you say
I don't think that's
Howdy.
weird, though. That's how they say it with the drawl sometimes.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I'll take your word for it.
I guess I don't listen close enough to, Southern North American enunciations.
That's a thing too. It depends the accent. It's like how you say penguin differently because of your.
I say it correctly.
Do you though?
Correctly
Depends-
for me.
Correctly. Oh, there you go. That's
That's
the
one
way.
that I've always acknowledged that I say it
Bartek,
wrong.
listen with your ears, not your heart, which I've been reminded is a phrase that I have used more than once via a YouTube comment, which has made me smile. We had a YouTube comment that mentioned this phrase, and then I looked it up and I said it to
Okay.
you because it was a moment where I specifically said a thing and then you just ignored it and said, you meant it like this. I'm like, no, I didn't. Listen with your ears, not your heart. And then I realized I've said that a few times over the years. And what a weird thing to make a catchphrase without even realizing it, but I've said it
Sounds like a
very many times.
villainous Poindexter line.
Yeah, exactly.
No, my heart's important.
And that is why we are Spit and Polish Presents, because we learn things together. We say howdy, I listen with my ears, not my heart, and we both happen to be Polish gentlemen. And one of them says penguin in the Polish way, which is?
So in Polish, penguin is pingwin,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up mostly focusing on Polish for like the first couple of years of my life. So when I I basically knew the words at the same time, but I assumed that it was spelt or pronounced like similarly, but just like with a different, without the V.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought, it's penguin in English.
Yes, which to my ear sounds like you're saying ping and then Gwyn. It's just like
That's pretty much exactly what I'm saying,
and it's
yeah.
very amusing to me.
It's one of those things where, like, over the years, I have been corrected on mispronunciations. The big one was debbed. It took me until my adulthood to learn that the B was silent, just because I'd never thought about it before. But with penguin, that's one where I purposely, like, stick to it, even though I know it's wrong. But
It's fun
yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
It takes you back to your
Penguin.
childhood.
Yeah.
And
I still have my
here-
stuffed penguins.
Oh, very cute. I don't have any stuffed penguins, but that's fine.
You mentioned before that we learn things.
Mm-hmm.
Note to Ryan in editing, make sure you cut out the beginning of this recording where we talked about modern slang for like 10 minutes.
No, in fact, I'm going to bring it up now. Modern slang is fine. I am not against it. I love ones that are clearly not going to catch on, like chuggy. I love chuggy. My wife hates it. She rolls her eyes every time she hears the word chuggy. I didn't know this word until she started reacting poorly to other people saying it. And then I'm like, well, now I have to know.
What is
about
it?
chuggy.
You talked about it, but you didn't say what it
Chuggy's
was.
like, how to describe? It's like this faux internet thing where they want to decry things that are old and uncool. Like, say you wore a cardigan
Mhm.
and it made you look maybe a bit like a grandpa. I'd say, oh, Bartek's looking pretty chuggy.
Right, okay.
It's like, that's the best way I can describe it. I'm sure the internet historians
So
out
you're
there will dig this one
so
up from
Ryan-
the 2022 vault and get me really up the riz hole about it. But
Ryan,
that's
are
what
you,
I understand.
Are
it to
you
be.
seriously telling me right now that last week we did an episode on, an old black and white film, and you talked about how there are some people that have an aversion to watching old things,
Mm-hmm.
black and white, other culture, whatever. You could have literally just said the word chuggy.
And you would have got it. Yeah.
I wouldn't have, but everyone else
Then I
would
would have to explain it to you.
Yes.
But here we explain things such as on our podcast, we talk about movies, and we're doing Pictures Powwow, where we talk about movies that have come recommended. Someone recommended a movie this time. Then we talk about it at the end of our discussion. We hear the next recommendation from whoever that person is, and we have a certain rhythm. We have a certain code of honor. We have a certain style to our recommendations, where one week Bartek recommends it, then the week after that is my recommendation, then after that it is you, the listening people. That's right, you, the listening people, can recommend films to us. And Bartek, who recommended the film this time? Was it you?
It was either me, you, or looking at the listening people now, you.
You.
This time it was you, not looking at the listening people. I'm talking to you, Ryan Slawinski.
Thank you. I recommended the 2015 film Slow West. Wow, a whole decade.
That's when we started the podcast.
Yes, it is. A film shot in New Zealand, made by no one really from New Zealand. It's
the Scottish guy, right?
Scottish guy with actors from everywhere. 2 Australians in it, at least. So there's that, because the lead actor is Australian, and Ben Mendelsohn is also Australian. Yeah. And the Mendo, we call him.
Mendelsohn.
But Slow West is a modern, one of those, modern westerns where it's like
Ryan, it's
slick and stylish, but it's still set in the past.
Ryan, it's chuggy.
Yeah, it's very chuggy. But the best way to describe this film and what it is all about is a young man travels from Scotland to America, to the wild west of America, to find the girl that he is in love with, to restore her honor and perhaps find his as well. And he meets a friend along the way, a very handsome, buff, gunslinging Michael Fassbender, and they must trek through America and discover things about themselves along the way, and on and on and on we go. It uses the typical trappings of the Western genre and these type of stories, these coming-of-age stories, these stories of love and death.
Yeah, road films as well.
Yeah, but it's about the way it's executed, the style of it, the performances, and just the commentary that the film is making, the things that it shows, the things that it doesn't show. So everyone, please make sure to check out Slow West for yourselves, because we are going to get into it now. Bartek, do you have a history with this film? Have you heard of it, seen it?
I don't think I've ever heard of this film until you recommended it, no.
Well, technically you have. I've mentioned on the podcast before, as I said in big quotations, the last good Michael Fassbender
That's
movie.
right, you did recount a time where you talked about it, but I didn't remember the conversation.
Yeah, when we did, I want to say Lemonade Joe,
Yeah,
I brought it up.
I believed you, though, because you talked about our friend Alex's reaction to it. And it's like, oh, that does sound like something Ryan would say.
Because we'll get more into the Michael Fassbender of it all. But I saw this film when it came out, not in the cinema, unfortunately. I actually don't know if it would have played. I mean, I assume it would have played here. It's a very stylish
It feels like a
movie.
film festival film, yeah.
It's also got that homegrown feel to it, because there is a lot of Australian talent involved in it. This is a film, as mentioned, shot in New Zealand, funded by the New Zealand government, as you see in its credits. It tells you that it's in Scotland and in America, but look at those glorious New Zealand landscapes. And also, it is unabashedly New Zealand, because it also just has a bunch of New Zealand faces and voices in it. There's Maori people involved. Like, you just have one of the gunslinging bandits of Ben Mendelsohn's group is just unapologetically just a New Zealand lady, and I'm like, great, love that.
Yeah, I didn't know much about this film walking in, but I did read somewhere that, like, all of the Native Americans in this film are just played by Maori people.
Yep.
So when I found out later on that it was all filmed in New Zealand, like, that explains that thing that I read.
Yep.
That's what they had.
I saw this back in the day because I'm a Ben Mendelsohn fan. I love Ben Mendelsohn. He's one of my favorite actors. He's one of my favorite Australian actors. I've been a fan of his since my youth. Idiot Box is a film we covered on the podcast, and that's one of my favorites. I've grown up with that movie, and Ben Mendelsohn is very magnetic as a screen presence. I think what I've discovered over the years about Ben Mendelsohn is or at least appreciated more, is he can be very intimidating. But there's always a level of flagrant flamboyancy to his performances that underlie it or can be very upfront. And this film does that very much, where it's like he approaches it at the beginning almost like this animal presence, this inhuman force, but then he just can't help but be just such a flamboyant little guy. But I came to it for that reason. And everyone, I think we've all been there where we've engaged with a piece of media, a piece of art because of a name. I checked out this video game because it's made by this person. I listened to this piece of music because they collaborated with an artist I like. I watched this particular movie because Ben Mendelsohn was in it in a big fur coat. That's all I needed. I was like, oh, Ben Mendelsohn in a big fur coat? I'll watch that. Is he only in basically 3 scenes of the movie? Sure, but he's great in all of them.
Yeah, thereabouts.
He's in 3 moments of them, but he's great in all of them, so I'm in. I like Michael Fassbender. I'm in. And so that's why I watched it, and I really enjoyed it, but I've never rewatched it. I've been holding off, and isn't it crazy to say I've been holding off for a decade?
Yeah, it's been a slow trip to the rewatch.
So
you watched it in 2015?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was just one of those things where it's like, oh, I got a copy of this. I can watch this.
Mhm.
I want to see it. Because this was in that era of Ben Mendelsohn's career where he was branching out. He was going to different places than just Australia. He had already done The Dark Knight Rises. He was in Mississippi Grind with Ryan Reynolds. He was in Place Beyond the Pines. It was just this
Did you
period
do that
from
Netflix show?
Yeah, around this time I would say he
Yeah.
did
Blood
Bloodline.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bloodline. So I was just absorbing in all of the Ben Mendelsohn flexing his acting muscles and going to these different projects, whether they be big movies or small movies like this. But I enjoyed it. But Bartek, tell us a bit about your experiences with Slow West.
Yeah, so my experience was I watched it last night.
Mhm.
And yeah, I had a good time with it. This was one where I felt like this was a film to watch when you're chilling out. I know that there's like serious stuff in it. A lot of a big body count compared to like the max amount of characters in the film. But yeah, it was just a very chill experience. Like it is these 2 characters going through the country for a lot of it. They have this kind of like road story where they're meeting like interesting people along the way. Not as many as like some of the other films that we've covered that where they do this, but a couple like that. What's going to happen in this location? Well, we have this shop and it's going to get robbed, and there's like an interesting guy running it. And then, he gets killed by this very interesting, unexpected couple. You go to the woods and the character runs into, a group of bounty hunters who tell an interesting story. He splits off from his traveling partner and he meets this German man in the middle of the desert who is a lot more pleasant than everyone else he's met so far, but in the end ends up being someone who really royally screws him over. And it's all leading to this goal, which you mentioned earlier, his goal, finding the girl and, potentially, recouping the relationship or getting something out of it. But it is kind of like an understated, like, what do you want out of this kind of journey thing? So there is that like mysterious element while you're going along with this story that even now that I think of it, kind of even reminded me a little bit of like Cowboy Bebop in a way.
Yes, there's the dramatic irony of, we know, as does Michael Fassbender, that the girl he is chasing after has a huge bounty on her head. And why does she have that bounty? Is it because of the acts that happened back in Scotland that made her run away from there? Or has her and her father been getting up to stuff since they've been in the Americas?
Yeah.
That doesn't get fully answered by the end of this either. Like, why do they have such a huge bounty? Is it because of what happened? It makes it feel like it's because of what happened in Scotland is still chasing after them, whether it's directly that or just they've had a series of bad luck.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was missing it or not, but when they did kind of imply that it was the stuff back in Scotland, that kind of threw me off. I'm like, oh, would they have a bounty in another country for that?
I mean, they killed a lord.
I guess, yeah, and that was the thing. I was like, oh, well, I guess it was a lord, so there is like influence there. So I guess that's what. But then I started thinking like, oh, was I meant to be thinking that throughout the whole film? Because I thought like, oh, the kind of what's going on aspect was really kept me going.
But yeah, and they slowly feed you the information. There's flashbacks and implied things here and there. And you said it, our main character, what is he really doing this for? He has this mission in his head of, I will go find Rose and I shall atone for my actions that disgraced them and put them on the run. If I just physically show up, and this big heroic romantic gesture of traveling across the world and through the Wild West, and he doesn't even think about the dangers. That's how naive he is. He has his head held up high. He has all of these suitcases on his horse, one of which has a teapot in it, like a delicate, lovely teapot. And that's how blissfully unaware and privileged he is. And throughout the whole entire film, and again, spoilers for everyone listening. Again, spoilers, check out the movie. Right up until he dies, he still doesn't understand fully the reality of everything that is laid before him. Rose even says that his heart was in the wrong place. Even in his dying moments, he's still like realizing, like, I had a certain image in my head of how this was supposed to go, and everything before me was telling me that this wouldn't be the case, and I ignored it anyway, and here I am bleeding on the floor, and she barely even recognizes me. It's like, yep.
It took her a while.
She was busy. She had a few things on her plate.
She was very busy. We're not joking there. She was definitely busy.
She was very busy watching everything around her die. But that's skipping to the end. I loved it on the rewatch. I watched it with my wife, Rachel. She was middling on it. The title says it all. Slow West. This is going to be a slow-paced movie. This is going to be more meditative. And I see your point about how there's almost like a chill aspect to this. Like, yes, there's death. Yes, there's tension. Yes, there's acts of craziness throughout this all, but there is a very methodical pace to the movie and a slice of life affair to it almost, where, yeah, we are driving towards something, but there's something just cute about seeing one of the most triumphant moments of the movie be they figured out that they could tie the rope to the two horses and hang their clothes on it so they could still ride away and dry their clothes. Like, that's, to me, in my experience of watching this, as a high point as them shooting a bad guy. Like, it's like, oh, that was so I'm like, yeah, teamwork. They figured out a thing. That was so sweet.
Yeah, well, it's the inexperienced guy who came up with the good idea. That the experienced guy was like, oh, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
And it helps them in the end, because when their horses are about to be stolen by some natives, they don't realize that the horses are tied together, so they hit a tree and have like a little gag.
There's a lot of humor that's woven throughout the movie. There's a lot of like subtle, dark humor that is just constant throughout it, which I think helps make the film maybe not as pretentious as it could be to some, because I was actually a little worried when I was watching, like, oh, is Bartek going to come in here and be like, not that in not, I was worried that you may not have liked the movie because it could have been a little bit too artsy. But then I was like, no, the movie has a lot of humor and heart that kind of helps make it feel more than just one of those navel gazing, isn't this a pretty movie type movies. But I was worried when I was looking at it in its aspect ratios and its high saturated stuff and like the lack of dialogue in the first like 20 minutes. I was like, but then I was like, no, there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of moments. And then when we got to the Werner scene, I did think of you. I'm like, oh, I think Bartek's going to like this. I think Bartek's going to very much like this.
It was interesting. Yeah, I like that character. There's a lot of references in this film about what's happening to the West or in the West. And like most characters in the film like indicate like, oh, yeah, there's rough times there, rough times. But then that character is the one who's like, oh, yes, they're having dreams there. There's good stuff there. And he ends up being like the, scummy guy who betrays him the next morning. So it's like, oh, okay, so, if someone says that something good's happening in the West, you can't trust them.
Who can you trust? Who can you trust?
Michael Fassbender.
Can you, though?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He was deceitful throughout the whole movie.
He helped him shave.
He did help him shave, but then lectured him. So it was a wonderful thing. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about Michael Fassbender. I think I've made it pretty vocal. I have a big problem with Michael Fassbender as an actor because I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's one of the great actors I've like many people, I can't speak for you, but my first big exposure to him was in Glorious Bastards.
Mm.
I thought he was great in that movie. I remember seeing that as a teenager and seeing him and just being astonished at who is this handsome, charming actor? Who is this guy? I've never seen this guy before. And then after that, Prometheus and all of these movies, and he's such a screen presence, and he's more than just like a handsome acting man, but he's like a genuinely great actor who takes on these challenging roles and like these movies that he's not afraid to play pieces of shit or like charismatic or all of this stuff, or these daring kind of artsy projects. Like he did a movie around this time called Frank, and it's a movie where he wears a paper mache head on his head for most of the movie, and it's based like on a real life figure. And it's all of these interesting projects. Like what a daring, fascinating actor. And even when he does like big budget things like the X-Men movies, he's bringing a gravitas to it. It's like, yeah, I want to see a whole movie of his Magneto hunting down former Nazis. Like he's such a good screen presence. And then shortly after this movie, I don't know, did his agent have a stroke or something?
Well,
like all of that stopped and he's just done nothing. And then I realized he did an X-Men movie, X-Men Apocalypse, whichever one was the last one, and he had a break. He just stopped making movies for like 4 years because what the hell happened? I don't know.
Yeah, well, and you alluded to before the thing you said in that other episode that Alex responded to, which was what?
This was the last great Michael Fassbender movie. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Like people like his Steve Jobs movie well enough that came out the same year.
No, I kind of see what you're saying though, because I haven't necessarily seen most of his filmography, but I do remember there was a time where like you heard the name Michael Fassbender and it was like, oh, okay, that's a good actor. That must be a good performance that he's giving, and it must be, worthwhile film to check out. Like, I didn't like Prometheus, but I remember him being good in it.
He was the standout.
Yeah.
For many people, he's the standout. Or 12 Years a Slave. He's a monster in that movie. He's like a piece of shit, but he's memorable. Heck, he was even in Fable 3. Like, he was doing all of these things, and even A Dangerous Method, which we covered on the podcast, we both agreed he was great in it.
Yeah, I forgot that he was the lead of that until you reminded me, but yeah, I remember him being good.
And it's a daring project. It's a David Cronenberg film, and he's spanking Keira Knightley, and he's playing this character that's supposed to be all buttoned up and professional, but he's a freak
Carl
underneath
Jung.
it. And Prometheus, and like if you look at his filmography, there's a period of time it's like 12 Years a Slave, Prometheus, Frank, X-Men Days of Future Past, which is one of the great X-Men movies, Slow West, and then the Steve Jobs movie. And then after Steve Jobs, X-Men Apocalypse, one of the worst X-Men movies.
Oh, okay.
Trespass Against Us, a really bad Catholic film. Assassin's Creed, of course, that's a great movie. We covered that one on the podcast.
So bad after Assassin's Creed.
Song to Song, which is like a boring art film that is loathed by even art film fans.
Okay.
Alien Covenant, which is awful, but he's great in it. Like, it's not even saying that he gives.
He's playing the same character in that, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And a new android too. But that's the thing. It's not even to say that Michael Fassbender stopped giving good performances. He just no longer does good movies. The Snowman, X-Men Dark Phoenix, he took a break. He said, okay, after X-Men Dark Phoenix, 2019, I need to stop making movies.
I don't even recognize that title.
Yeah, exactly. And then he came back with David Fincher movie called The Killer in 2023, which is divisive, but at least he's come back. He's in a movie last year called Kneecap, which is about the Irish band that's in a lot of trouble nowadays. But they're doing the right thing. You guys keep fucking railing against Israel. But I just wanted to raise that because it's like, how often, I mean, we see this often happen where it's like these brilliant actors and then something happens where it's like, oh, they just stop doing interesting projects. Like,
yeah, you have that happen, or you have like, oh, they only do a good one once in a while. Like people say that about Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm. But I raise this because we've done like a few Michael Fassbender movies on the pod, and he's either good or not good in them. And this is one of the ones where I'm like, oh, he's great in this. Like, I can't imagine him not being in this movie. He's just so effortlessly likable, even though he's playing a detestable character on some level.
His character is really well realized, and that's a big part of that is in the performance.
Did you have any particular thoughts on Michael Fassbender, or just any moments of him in this movie that stood out to you as like, oh, that was an interesting choice or beat for him to play?
I think just in general, like, 'cause where's he from again? He's not Scottish.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that's from everywhere.
I know that he's like multilingual.
Yes.
Or bilingual.
But yeah, I think he's Scottish.
But yeah, just like the accent, it's like, oh, that sounds really authentic. Like, I think I was reading the trivia or like just comments that people were making that in 12 Years a Slave, I haven't seen it, but his accent was a bit shaky there. And so like, over the 3 or 4 years, he clearly got better in that. And yeah, I totally bought that this is an American guy. It took me a second to be like, oh wait, that's Michael Fassbender.
He's Northern Irish, which his character also talks about being in this movie as well, his Irish side. And he's also born in Germany. So he's
I see what you mean. He's from the country Europe.
Yes, he's a real Brian George, let's just say that, where he's from everywhere too.
Yes.
There was this moment where there's a sequence where we see Michael Fassbender's character taking a piss and scratching his ass with his pistol, and he's in his long johns and all of that, and he's such a schmuck. But then I'm like, do I buy this? Because he's so hot and handsome and jacked and muscular. But then I do buy it because Michael Fassbender has a certain physicality in this role that feels very much like a guy who's just scraping on by. He doesn't feel, although his character is very experienced and knows what they're doing, there's also a certain level of just bullshittery. Just always making it up as he goes along. Like, not all of it, but enough.
You get that kind of when Ben Mendelsohn comes in and, like, they have some history together. And it's like, oh, you always like this. Even when you're drunk, you're still like this.
And when he scratched his ass with the gun in his long johns, I questioned it. But then I thought, well, I like the Trinity movies. And the guy who plays Trinity in They Call Me Trinity is a very handsome man, but I don't doubt for a second that that's a bum. That's like a dirty, gross man that eats a full skittle of beans. So I don't question it there.
It's that fun trope where you have the character who's like the experienced one. Like, oh, our main character is surviving because he's with this guy. He's the guide. He's the bodyguard. He's the one who knows how everything works. And then you have just like that moment of immaturity or like casual immaturity where it's like, okay, yeah, you said it before, effortlessly cool in that way.
Yeah. But a main character,
Jay.
Jay, played by Cody Smith McPhee, who he's had a very interesting career. I do believe he was the kid in The Road, which is a very uplifting Australian
I've heard of that
movie.
one.
It's such a family film. Everyone should watch it with their kids. It will really uplift you. Sunday afternoon film, I would say.
From what I've heard, it's the opposite of what you're saying. But I guess I misheard.
Yeah, it's an Australian movie, so tone be damned.
It's based on a book, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I liked him in this. He's very you just look at him and you immediately know what this character is. They cast perfectly on just like visual, like I know exactly what you are.
Yeah, you described him before as, like rich kid from Scotland who's like in over his head kind of thing. It's not to like a comical degree. He does have like some level of competence or understanding of, how serious the situation is. He's not a character that really like smiles or anything like that. He knows that, things aren't easy for him going forward.
Just because he's clueless does not mean he's dumb. He is aware, but he's naive.
He looks like a really young Nathan Fielder.
Oh, really?
I couldn't let go of that.
To me, he looked like a porcelain doll. He just has such
his skin
and the hair and the eyes.
Yeah, there are moments where like his face gets dirtied, whether by blood or by like the tree dust, and it's like, oh my god, you're dirty now.
Do you want to know what his latest film was, or one of his most recent films? And this will really help nail down what the actor also looks like. Memoir of a Snail. He looks like an Adam Elliott creation as well. And I say that in a positive sense. Like, he has this plasticky porcelain, like, you could see, but he has these very expressive big eyes and the hair that's swooped over. But
So you're saying that if anyone was going to play their live action self in an Adam Elliott film and not be out of place, it would be this guy.
It would be this guy. Yes, 100%. He also, but you nailed it. He isn't portrayed cartoonishly. He is portrayed in a very genuine level of, you can tell that this is a rich kid. There was a lot of implied stuff even before they revealed in the flashback, like, oh, his mother's a lady or this or that. You already got little vibes of the class differences with him and Rose in the flashbacks, let alone him interacting with Michael Fassbender. There's just subtleties, like I mentioned, he has a teapot, and it's like a very fancy little white teapot that Michael Fassbender just throws, and it's just, why would he pack that? You just know he's like a little, and he's always obsessed with like it's tea actually, and you're like, yeah, okay, and there's little details, but I thought he as an actor, especially for like a young actor, like a child actor, or like
I think he's
like
3 years younger than us.
yeah, he was commanding of the screen. Like I wanted to follow him, even though he's a character that we know is doing something most likely in vain. Like that, I thought was communicated very strongly in the film. Is this character, what he's working towards, will not obviously work out well.
Yeah, there's no character in this film that learns what his journey is and like, go get him, Tiger.
No, they're just like, sounds like that's not going to work out well. There's this moment where they pass these musicians and they're singing a song, and then he speaks to them, and it's like, it's a song about love. And he's like, yeah. There was a song about death, or I can't remember which way around. But
I think it was something about like love conquering all.
Yeah, but then he reassures them, he's like, yeah, and death's a thing too that ties into that. Yeah, yep. And then he rides off, and that kind of seals the deal of like,
like love doesn't die or something.
Yeah, it's like, well, okay. Off you ride, then. I'm sure you'll learn your lesson by the end of the movie.
Yeah, those are the kind of things I really like in these kind of films. Just like, one scene encounter, it's very memorable.
That's what I really loved about the Red Dead Redemption games. They captured those where you just randomly wander into, like, here's a random man, and you just be there to tell you something.
Yeah.
And then you wander off, and you're like, oh, I wonder if they'll come back up. And sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I've only played the first one, but yeah, the side quests in that game is just like, it's not like, oh, go to this place and you find this person. It's like, oh, you ran into this person who like just needs something then and there.
Yeah. Or you just run into random little events, like here people playing some music, and you just get to sit in and be like, okay, this is nice.
Love in the first game when you're in Mexico and you can't understand what they're saying. So it's like, oh, whose side am I on?
But the lead character, he is not afraid to kill. I mean, he is afraid to kill, but he is able to do it. Like he shoots a woman in the back. That's the thing we see early on in the movie, and we see that although it rattles him, it doesn't perturb him as much as abandoning the children does, which upsets him more. I liked how those children played into the movie as well.
They after that first scene, they were in like progressively happier moments. It's like, oh, they got picked up by this group. And then at the end, it's like, oh, they're with the survivors of the film now.
Yeah. Were there any scenes between our two leads that really worked for you, or really like encapsulates their relationship or what the movie was going for?
Well, speaking of what we were just talking about, like after they leave the children, they have like a literally like 1-2 line exchange where it's like, we should have taken them in, and then Michael Fassbender responds like, in where?
And that was the end of that.
And that was the end of the whole scene. Yeah, it was just, a line from each of them that perfectly kind of summarizes their outlook on what just happened when they left that shop.
One moment that really hit well, and it's all about those micro expressions, was after the night where they got drunk and they wake up from the flood that they're sleeping in. Absolutely wild stuff. Michael Fassbender asking if he remembers, like if the kid remembers anything from the night, and then the kid recounting like his memory, like vague memories of the drunken thing, and you could tell that both of them know it's kind of bullshit. Like they both remember the verbal exchange that they had, where they also physically fought each other. They clearly both know, but they're not going to acknowledge it between the two of them, and it causes a minor rift there. Like, okay, but not enough to make them fully separate. But it was just a little moment of okay, we're just not gonna talk this through. Okay, which I think helps too, because although they become close, they don't become so close by the end of the movie where you don't believe Michael Fassbender would tie him to a tree for his own good.
And it's one of those things where when one of them dies, spoiler, it's the young one, and he sees that he's died, that's when he says, like, poetic, meaningful things about him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. You mentioned what the girl's line was.
His heart was in the wrong place,
yeah,
but his spirit was in the right place is what
it's like.
Fassbender says.
Every time she said something like kind of negative, he like took a spin on that, or it's like, but his spirit was in the right place, or whatever.
One of my favorite sequences of filmmaking is the dream sequence that our main character envisions Michael Fassbender and Rose in the house that they eventually go to at the end, and they're at the table, and then they grab the baby, and they're just like living this wholesome life, but it's always from this one stagnant camera position, which then at the end of the movie is the position where our main character is dead. Like, that's the view that he would be looking at.
Oh, yes, good point. That's a good observation.
And we have this whole like night to day sequence where she's sitting there and it's nighttime, and then the light outside quickly transitions to daytime, and like all this time has passed, and Michael Fassbender's like this idealized version of Michael Fassbender's character, where he's like the noble cowboy man, like the rural tough guy. He's got his sleeves rolled up, and at first it feels like they're his idealized version of his parents, almost like they're sitting there at the table looking at him, but then there's the surrealism of then they grab a baby and it's like, are you the baby?
Yeah, and it's not his perspective because it's going away from him.
Yeah, it's still going away from him. It's like, what's going on? But I raise that as a great moment because to me that's the most surreal moment, but it doesn't feel out of place because as the movie goes on, as they trek more and more, there's just these little touches like that throughout the movie that just keep building up and up and up, like encountering those people singing, or like encountering Werner, or like encountering Ben Mendelsohn's whole entire character, where the dial of just, we're not in the real world, just starts to go up a little bit throughout the movie, just starts to keep turning and turning and turning. And that worked for me, but how did you feel about that? Or did that register with you at all?
No, I get that for sure. When I was reading up about the film, I think I went onto the Wikipedia page just to look at like the cast list or something like that. And one of the first lines mentioned that it's a revisionist Western. And seeing that, I'm like, oh, yes, that's a really good observation, because I remembered that when I did start watching it, I didn't necessarily know what I was in for. Like, I knew the basic premise. But I really felt it while watching, like, oh, yeah, I kind of walked in thinking like maybe this would be a bit more traditional, but it was very much not. It was very much, blunt and to the point. We didn't have like the whole mythology of the cowboy. Like you said there, it was the dream sequence where they kind of brought that in. And there's a sequence in the film, it's when he's talking to the bounty hunters and one of them recounts a story of a guy that he knew once who would only do like petty crimes and would never get a wanted poster and really wanted a wanted poster. And a lot of the like locations and the filmmaking of that sequence felt a little bit more westerny because, we're in like a town, we're outside like the sheriff's office or a bar or something, the wanted posters on the wall, and the guy recounting the story of, this person that he knew who...
This young man
who really wanted a bad reputation so that he can get a wanted poster, and it leads all the way up to... him making a fake wanted poster and the guy having a line that chilled me to my bones. Like, by tomorrow it'll be double, basically. Yep. And that one felt a lot more like, like he's telling a legend of like something that once happened. Like that felt a little bit more like mythological.
But then there's also the very specific touch which has not been done in the movie before. Again, this ramps up this level of this not being as grounded, because at the beginning this movie feels fairly grounded. Like when people die in the movie, it feels like realistic violence. Like it's just, they're dead, they're on the ground, the silence is deafening. But then we get to this scene, right, that you're discussing, and a part of it is he is narrating the scene, but the characters in the scene are lip syncing to his narration of what he is talking about. Like that's something that's stylistic that hasn't been done in the movie. But by that point, it doesn't feel too out of nowhere, too out of left field, because sometimes we cover movies or we watch movies where there's like that one bit, it's like, oh, there's that one bit where they got really stylized with a certain thing for no apparent reason. I wish they kind of did more of that, or I wish that wasn't in the movie at all. This is one where it's like, it happens once, but you've already met Ben Mendelsohn in his big fur coat. You've already got the singers. You've already got like these little dribs and drabs where this moment doesn't feel completely incongruous.
Yeah, it's the only flashback that's, I guess you could say, diegetic, because it is being narrated then and there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you tell stories, we learned this in university, you touch them up a little bit with some extra details. So, there was an element of like, okay, well, if there is an unreliable narrator thing going on here, it's believable because it's literally a guy telling a group the story, and adding in these little touches of like, oh, it chilled me to my bones or whatever. We didn't necessarily see the guy being scared in the story, but that's what the narration's telling us.
And
there's a punchline to it as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of, there's a dramatic punchline, but there's also a little humor there as well. Like, where in the end too of his story, he is the killer. Like, that's the end of that story. It's like, although this young man chilled him to his bones about like how he would go on to kill people, it's actually the person who tells the story that's the killer. Yeah,
and it's also a thing like you're listening to the story and you're wondering what the point is, because the narrator isn't just like some otherworldly figure. It's literally a guy there. So it's like, oh, what's the point that this character that we're listening to is getting at? And it is this, dramatic punchline of, in the end, he's the only one that killed anyone in this story, and it wasn't even like on purpose. But then he laughs it off. So it's like, what do we think of this guy?
And then by the end of the movie, he just is a lifeless corpse that we cut to, and you almost feel that sense of loss because it's like, oh, I spent time with him. It was one scene, but he was one of the most lively characters we've met in the movie, because even though there are a lot of actors in this movie relatively, like we count the body counts like 17. I think it says, and we got to meet all of those people.
Yeah, we see them all at the end of the film too.
And they're all portrayed by wonderful actors, but that one in particular, was the most lively performance. Everyone else gives a fairly dignified to muted performance outside of Ben Mendelsohn, of course, who we'll talk about. But like everyone else is giving a fairly, stoic, I'm a Western performance. Even like Werner, he's a nice guy, but he's given a performance that feels like very muted, still very philosophical. He's you like him, but he's still amusing. And then there's this random bounty hunter, and he's the most like jovial. And then when we cut to his lifeless body at the end, like he's just one of the many. There's a sense of, oh, I didn't realize that I did become invested in this basically one scene character.
Yeah, he was like the one guy who kind of felt like he was from a traditional Western because he was a bit older and he was talking about the old days, and the setting of his story felt like, the West Town.
Yeah, it was some moving stuff. And my wife got very impatient because we saw Ben Mendelsohn early in the movie just watching them. Like him and his bandits were, him and his gang were on the horses. We just had like a shot of just them, and he's like looking, and you're like, okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because he's in his big fur coat. We meet them early on, and then he's not in the movie for so long. And then he shows up and he's doing his Ben Mendelsohn thing. But my wife was like a little impatient that there wasn't
So she was in the film for the Mendo.
Well, yeah, but also like there's a thing of like there isn't an overt antagonistic presence in the movie for quite some time, and yet at the end we still have the shootout that happened.
Yeah.
I like that though. I kind of like that the antagonistic presence that is in the majority of the film is the lack of trust between the two main characters. Like our main child, I should say, he decides just haphazardly just to abandon Michael Fassbender and do it on his own.
He's a brute.
Yeah, he's a brute. he was fine with it before, but now it crossed the line. Was it much of a line that he crossed when this made him realize to leave this time? Not really, but it was enough. And so then he goes off and he meets Werner, who is the opposite. He's an intellectual.
You can confide in him like, I was traveling with a brute. It's like, oh, well, you're with me now.
Okay, so let's talk about this Werner scene more succinctly, because we've kind of touched on it a few times. So he meets this German.
He's studying the natives.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's kind of like an anthropologist, historian.
He's writing up a big thesis about Native Americans, and he wants to get it done in time before they're either wiped out or converted to Christianity or something.
Mm-hmm. And there's just this discussion about how this is a new world for both of us. And there's this...
It feels like he's a weird sort of guy that's different to him, but someone that he can kind of connect to. Because he's not like, a typical like Western cowboy riding hero guy. He's an intellectual.
He's not a killer.
Yeah, and he's very accommodating. Like, he puts his hand up, it's like, I come in peace. It's like, of course you do. And he gets out a chair, puts the gun down, gives him some food. They have a little conversation, and, very pleasant.
And he accepts that the main character is a good person, because at that point, our main character, Jay, he's upset that he's a killer.
Yeah.
He says, can you accept having food with a killer? And the Werner's like, well, yeah, of course I can. I mean, I would be a hypocrite if I couldn't. And he pats his gun.
No, he said he'd be lonely.
Yeah, he'd be lonely. And, and he pats his gun. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. He's the non-judgmental force, because Michael Fassbender's judgmental. There's this whole sequence where they have a back and forth. It's like, you're always shushing me. You're always telling me to shut up. I was like, yeah, because you don't stop running your mouth. Him and his whole railway to the moon, and the moon men, like the moon people, and how we're going to colonize the moon.
The moon
people.
natives. Like, there are no natives up there. Like, no, natives to the moon.
And we're going to colonize them. Like, that's just how it is. And then he has this conversation with Werner where that it laments that idea. Like, isn't it sad that that's just the truth of it, that we can't go to new places without having to destroy the previous world that was there? This is a new world for both of us, but he's also there marking the extinction and the wiping out of these people. So it's like, how much of it is a new world for them if they're not going to be in it? And there's like a melancholy that is brought through Werner, through this whole entire sequence. And there's just conversation about, like, yeah, America and the West, and like these people like Jay, who's coming out here for his one purpose, but in so doing, he's just going to completely trample through all of these other people's homes and wants and needs and desires because, well, I've got to save the girl. It's like, yeah. By the way, did you see any remains of? I actually saw the extinction of a native tribe over there, but didn't really
burnt down village.
I didn't really faze me because I'm here to go for a girl, and even like him talking about that out loud, you see, it actually makes him realize like it's actually screwed up.
It's also a really good setting where that happens, because it's just like in the middle of a sandy desert with like nothing in any direction. It's even emphasized in the morning when he wakes up alone and just like he turns around, like nothing catches his eye. He does a full 360.
Well, one thing catches his eye. An egg.
An egg. Well, that's on the ground.
But that's the one thing that catches his eye. It's like he's looking everywhere. There's nothing. It's like vacant. It's like, all you see is the New Zealand mountains in the distance with the snow on them.
The American mountains.
Yeah, sorry. American. Where were they? I can't remember which state they were in. I'm very bad at.
They were heading in the direction of Washington. So they were somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. But
I can't remember where, but yeah.
But he sees the egg that has a piece of paper on it, and then he obviously grabs a piece of paper and he spins around and it just says west with an arrow pointing whichever direction west was supposed to be, which is useless to him now that he's moved. And I love the touch. Werner's such a little shit. Yeah. The egg, it's a raw egg. You're thinking, it's going to be hard boiled.
He did that thing where, like, he says something the previous night, and then, like, the next morning when you realize you've been screwed, it's like, but he was technically telling the truth.
My wife and I had a debate about this. Do you think he drugged the main character, or do you think he just quietly robbed him of everything? I thought he was drugged, personally, because he was stripped of his clothes. He was just in his long johns, and then throughout the whole entire movie, we never see our main character not sleep in his full clothes.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't like said one way or the other, but you could interpret. I just took it as, he was subtle enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I just wanted to ask your opinion. Like, what was your gut reaction? Well, my gut reaction is anytime a stranger offers you food and drink, you should be like, oh, they're going to drug me? But that's, me being me about it. But yeah, the Werner scene was nice. I like that we don't get confirmation if Werner died. Even at the end where we get the montage, like all the shots of the people who have been killed, some of which we didn't even get to see them physically killed on screen, like those two other guys, we don't get Werner. So I guess, do we take that as confirmation that Michael Fassbender didn't kill him? Because, well, as he said, I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Or did he? Because I didn't believe Michael Fassbender at all. I didn't believe Silas, as we should call him. I didn't believe that Silas left Werner alive, but...
That's interesting to know. Yeah, they could have just showed like his little hut being empty or something.
Yeah, or his body just laying face down in the desert like they did with others. But
just some bones.
Did you have any read on that? Like when Silas rocks up with the horse and all the stuff, and he says, I didn't have to hurt Werner. It's all fine." Did you believe
it was one
him?
of the well, I mean, it was one of those moments like, ooh, one way or the other, we will never know.
Yeah,
I enjoy that. Yeah,
we'll never know.
We had another, because when you were talking about how he had no reaction to like, we saw the burnt down village. Like, we do have this very black comedy moment a little later on where it just cuts to them looking down at something. It's like, well, look at that, and it's a tree that's fallen over a skeleton with an axe in its hand. They start talking about like, yes, Darwin talked about natural selection, and this is basically like a textbook example. Like, even the main character can't help but find it kind of funny.
Yeah. And it was kind of amusing.
It's so blatant, almost as blatant as a salt in the wound.
Oh, yes, which does happen at the end with our main character. He gets shot in the heart and then gets salt in his wound.
He gets shot. He gets shot. He sees another man kiss the woman of his dreams.
As she doesn't recognize...
As she has not noticed that she's been shot or even is present yet. And then a stray bullet hits some salt that's above him and it falls on his wound.
And he starts writhing in pain. Very good. I love that. That's very funny. The movie, again, has a sense of humor, but also a sense of dramatic irony.
It's a very tragic moment, but then the very literal thing happens, and it's like, oh, come on, okay.
But, yeah, I thought it was a good, like, come on.
I agree, yes, I liked it.
Okay, enough beating around the bush. Let's talk about Ben Mendelsohn, the reason I watched this film a decade ago. What did you think of him? We've covered Ben Mendelsohn a couple of times on the podcast in very different... eras of his career
Idiot
and styles.
Box, Una,
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Very different echelons of filmmaking, different genres, different ages of him. So what did you feel about Ben Mendelsohn?
I liked him.
Yeah?
Yeah, not really too much else. I just thought he was good.
Oh, come on. What about him stood out for you? He's like the villainous
What stood out for him? Well, he's dressed interesting for a start. But yeah, he's fun. He's dressed in this big fur coat. He looks like he's about to like swindle you or like try to sell you something. He's got a fun dynamic with Michael Fassbender.
They have a history together.
And he forms a little bit of a fun dynamic with the main guy too. You mentioned before, like drink this. It's like, but it's tea. I liked him.
He has like a face tattoo. I couldn't read what it said, but he has like a little face tattoo that has words, but I couldn't read it. I was going to try and zoom in, but I was like, he's got something there, and I don't know if that's a Ben Mendelsohn. Like, I want this. Like, the fur coat it's so big.
Yeah, if you could probably reuse it in another film and have him be like a pimp or something.
Exactly. And he portrays it as like this, for what they are like, as this, like, in his physicality. This is never spoken aloud, but the way he holds himself in the coat, it makes it feel like he's regal almost. Like, this is a sign of status. But like, if you had that same woolly big fur coat thing on Tom Hardy in The Revenant, it wouldn't communicate that at all.
Yeah.
But that's just how this movie does it, and how he physically holds himself, like him with the glasses in his fingertips, and he's like, he does like a little it's very dainty much swirl around the camp, being like, I'm innocent, I'm not a bad guy.
It very much reads at, not that he's regal, but like very much playing at being regal.
He's the top dog. But I I just find Ben Mendelsohn's one of those actors where if he could take the eccentric choice, he will. Because this stood out to me so much of the fur coat, obviously, that's eccentric. But there's this moment at the end when he just says, men, kill that house. That's an amazing line. And he's just standing there in the middle of the field and he grabs his hat because to me, this is how it reads. I'm thinking of as an actor. I'm thinking Ben Mendelsohn goes, oh, I have a hat. What can I do with that? And he grabs this hat and he puts it over his heart and then he holds it tenderly and then he puts his head down and he starts stroking the hat as all of this gunfire is happening. Then the next time we see him, he is just telling his men to like charge in and he has his pistol in his hand and he does like the motion to like go forward, but he does it so like freely, like his wrist has like no weight at all. He's just kind of like very prissily just waving his hand forward and he's like he doesn't give a shit. He's just like whatever, just go do the thing. Or even when he gets shot at the end and dies, he just immediately just goes limp. Like he gets shot and there's no like big he just goes down on the ground and he's just gone.
Well, like you were saying before, you know, the violence in this film is very blunt.
He says it right before he dies, like, it won't hurt, you know? He's just loading his guns, like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, I'm going to shoot you in the back of the head, but it's going to be fine.
Yeah, but, you know, the guns, they didn't exist until 3 years later.
Yeah, as the trivia and goofs say. Yeah, I personally have a fascination with Ben Mendelsohn. He's one of those magnetic screen presences, and even though he's only in the film minorly, he makes his time very memorable with the choice of outfits, with his mannerisms. He's always like getting really physically close to anyone he talks to. He's like right up in Ben Mendelsohn's right up in Michael Fassbender's face, and I'm just like, just kiss. Just a little kiss.
That is true. When they were fighting, when they were like, oh, you know, I tried, even when you're drunk, you don't tell anything. Mm-hmm. You know, it did feel like they were leaning in for one.
Mm-hmm. There's just a sexual tension in the air with him. I don't know what it is. Just anytime we cut to him on his horse, like looking, there's this magnificent shot where we get a real tight close-up of him like watching on his horse and you just see what a pathetic mustache he actually has. Like when you're real up close, like what a pathetic mustache. He doesn't look cool. Like he doesn't look cool. Everyone else kind of looks like, you know, typical archetype, like aesthetics of like cool Western characters. Like even our main character, like he has a cool outfit when we first see him and is covered in dust and mud and he looks cool. Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn, he doesn't look like a cool bad guy.
He's like kind of going for like a Jack Sparrow weirdo kind of look.
Yeah. It's very, very much like my guy just has big woolly fur coat and he's just going to get really close to people.
And take in the orphaned kids.
I loved the other bounty hunter, the priest, with the sniper rifle.
Yeah, he was established early on.
That feels like Desperado. That feels like a Desperado type character. Like that feels like a Robert Rodriguez type character where he has his big case and then he opens it and it's just guns in there and ammo.
I like the exchange he had with the father and daughter where, you know, the whole thing of like she aimed the gun at him. The father's like, Rose, put that down. It's your lovely wife. She's my daughter. And then when he walks away, the exchange between the two of them's like, don't worry, he doesn't know anything about us. And then she summarizes, well, he knows where we are. He knows that we're father and daughter, and he knows my name is Rose. Mm-hmm. And it's like three kind of strikes where it's like that's pretty important information.
It is pretty important.
If he leaks that to anyone, we're in trouble. Or, God forbid, he's trying to kill us.
Yes. And there's this unsaid thing of, is Michael Fassbender's character, Silas, is he a good person? There's this questioning throughout it of like, well, he's a brute, he's a savage, he's a bastard. And then we meet Ben Mendelsohn, and you're supposed to think, well, he's obviously better than Ben Mendelsohn. Ben Mendelsohn's an opportunistic, animalistic character. But then there's the children, where it never goes spoken, but they take in the children. The gang, his gang, takes those children in, while Michael Fassbender would rather leave them on the side of the road with nothing. Like, Michael Fassbender didn't even suggest offering them the goods from the store. Yeah, he would have just left them to fend for themselves. And Ben Mendelsohn brings this up as a thing of like, yeah, here you go. You always think you're high and mighty and above everyone else, and you have to separate from the gang. But are you actually better than us? And you were actually shown no, he isn't until like at the very end where he's like, I got to save Rose from Ben Mendelsohn.
I mean,
But,
if you do take a step back and look at the whole film, from the revisionist angle of like, it's not the typical clear-cut tropes that we're going for. Like, we know that bounty hunters in media are sometimes represented as, tough people who are misguided or whatever. But really, if you take a step back, they're just going after someone who's wanted, who has committed a crime. And like we said, they get along with each other. They took in the kids. Like, maybe they are good people for
they have
the
a
era.
job that requires certain things, and Michael Fassbender even talks about how this is a dying breed.
Yeah,
the bounty hunters that they are, and like it's the last at the stand who are the most brutal and evil. It's like you are one of them.
Yeah, but it was just one of those things that was normal at the time.
But I appreciate and commend the film. A lot of this stuff isn't spoken aloud. Like the fact that the children come back was a nice surprise, and the fact that gang took them in was even a more pleasant surprise. And then at the end,
it was an interesting thing to note. But then you think about it some more, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
no, it was actually a good thing that they did.
The shootout at Rose's house is really well done. It feels chaotic, and it does feel like not all of the property is secure. Like the back door keeps being a problem for her. I like the one bandit, the one bounty hunter that gets stuck there because of a nail that's sticking up, and his pants get stuck, and we just cut to him. It's like his ass is hanging out and his hand's still on the door handle. It's very silly, but I like it. It's like, oh, okay.
And that was a shot of him at the end when it was showing the montage of the dead bodies.
And it's like,
his bum.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that's. They never got to deal with that problem. It was like, we don't have time for that. He's just stuck there. Whatever. We just got to keep moving on. We got to keep gunning people down. Oh, I just gunned down the main character because he ran into my house without proclaiming who he. I just shot him, and I got to deal with all of these fucking bounty hunters. There's so many of them.
You're just waiting for the moment where she'll look at him, and it's like, is she even going to recognize him? Is it going to be like a really tragic twist where it's like, who is this guy?
Even Michael Fassbender has a little moment like that with one of Ben Mendelsohn's gang. Goes to the side of the house where he is, and he's just chilling, trying to light his cigar, but his match is burnt out. And you see this other bounty hunter guy who's already had some anger issues at at Michael Fassbender, and he doesn't even see him at first, like he's reloading his gun, and then he turns around and there's just Michael Fassbender like, hey, how's it going? Like, hey, what's going on? And you see he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you now, and then that guy gets killed, and it's just very, and Michael Fassbender's joy at like, matches. The guy has matches.
The guy that was just killed next to me had matches in his pocket. Cool.
This is the best day of my life. I'm so happy I got matches. Yeah, we get all of that shootout, but it all is in service of the driving point of the movie, which is our main character is in pursuit of a romance, of a love, of an idealized woman that does not exist. This figure that he is wanting does not exist and never did exist. Even in all the flashbacks, it's very clear she's not into him. How does she think of him? As like her little brother. He's like, you don't mean that. Surely you don't mean. Please say you don't mean that.
Well, if Jay says so, then it must be true.
Like that she was like, go under my bed now. And he's just going to stay there for hours. And she puts a cat in front of him. He's like, oh, there you go, cat. That should amuse
Was she
you.
the one that put it down?
I think she was the one that put it there.
Oh.
Yeah, here you go. I'll just put a cat there. You can look at that. Have fun.
I'm just thinking of the rich lord coming. It's like, I'm here for my nephew, and just pulling him out from under the bed.
He immediately knew. He was like, there he is. He bent down like, there you are. That was such
we should have had that as an extended scene. It's like, whoa, what's he doing under the bed?
Yeah, the fact that no one seems shocked is also a great detail. Like, once that all plays out on the outside, like, it's not like everyone's like, what the hell? Everyone's physically reacting. They're all just standing there like, okay, that's a thing that happened.
Well, the big lord's with us, so, we have to be... We're more worried about that than the little boy that's under the bed.
Didn't work out well for the big lord, though.
Lord Cavendish.
One big rock just really wrecked his life. But what are your overall takeaways or opinions and thoughts on our main character and his journey of realizing or being forced to realize that this romance was not the thing. Like, as the film states, his heart wasn't in the right place, but his spirit was.
It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet, where it's a story about young love that they think that it's going to win out in the end, and his what was the line? His spirit is in the right place. He was chasing that feeling inside him, and it led to his end, the ending of his life. And there's the extra tragic thing of how his love interest had much bigger things to even think about. Like I mentioned before, kind of in passing, just like, oh, would she even remember him? It's like, how much has this woman gone through to the point where, he might not even be a significant part of her thoughts.
Yeah. And
it's not to a cynical degree. She definitely is warm to him when she realizes him. But yeah, that it still doesn't save him in the end.
No, but he gets to go out in the way that he wanted. Like, he gets to be a gunslinger at the end, kill Ben Mendelsohn and save the girl.
He did do that. That's a good point, yeah.
He got to do what he went there to do, which was to save the girl, even though she was fine. I like it. It just feels truthful. Like, this character's been grabbed by the shoulders throughout the whole movie, saying, like, look, we appreciate the sincerity of what you're doing. We appreciate that you want to atone and that you want love, but wake the fuck up. And he doesn't. And then he gets shot in the heart, and he's still on the floor taking his sweet time to realize, like, oh, right, I really needed to actually process these things as a real person. Like, if she doesn't want you, then you got to accept that. That's a part of it. Like, this drive to do the good thing isn't wrong, but you need to also accept that other people have wants, needs, and desires outside of yourself, because that's also something him and Michael Fassbender clash on, is he keeps judging Michael Fassbender on everything because it doesn't line up with how he wants things to be done. Like, Michael Fassbender's like, well, fuck you. Like, I'm my own man. I have my own, like, life that I want to lead, and my own principles, as Ben Mendelsohn points out, even if they're maybe hypocritical. It's like, he still has his own thing going on. Were you shocked that our main character got shot and died, or how that played out? My wife did a huge gasp. She was like, at that, and I remember being like, oh yeah, that was a little surprise.
I don't remember being, like, shocked or even in the opposite direction of, like, of course this was going to happen. It was more just a thing of, like, okay, this is how it's playing out. Yeah.
Any opinions on the end of with Michael Fassbender and her and the kids living the idealized life there?
I did. The ending was also very interesting, because it did that thing where this. Between the two main characters, he was the more traditional Western protagonist. He's the drifter. We know about as much. We probably know about as. We know as much about him as probably, like, the main character of Shane. Like, this guy has a backstory, but we don't really know the full details there. You could totally buy that, like, oh, we're going to see the ending of this guy's life, especially because the film is touching on a lot of these, like, end of an era kind of things.
He's the narrator as well, where he's talking about this as, like, this was a thing that has happened already.
Yeah. And so the fact that, the extra tragic thing of, like, oh, the older, wiser one is the one that survives, does feel, again, leading into that whole revisionist angle of, it's not the typical story of, like, the young one winning in the end, surviving, and the old one passing away and leaving the future to the young, or anything like that. It is just this very honest thing of, like, well, he made it through the events, and he has changed in some way. He was affected by the thing. In a weird way, he ended up doing a lot of growing himself. And now he is settling down and, looking over the things that the main character has left behind. The woman that he loved, these children that, she's now looking after. And you have that ending montage of, like, all of the dead bodies in reverse order, just reminding you of, like, all the steps along the way that he went on, and,
and the costs that it...
Yeah, the costs. These people...
That it accrued, yeah.
Yeah, and even when you get to the, like, last couple, which is, like, the
The fake soldiers.
Yeah, the fake soldiers
Who we met in the woods at the beginning and trusted.
Yeah, who were like right at the beginning. It kind of reminds you like, oh shit, yeah, these guys were here like 80 minutes ago. I forgot all about them, but yeah, this has been a long journey, hasn't it?
That's something too. This movie's not that long.
Yeah.
It's not a long movie.
I remember that was one of the first...
It's just a little under 90 minutes.
Yeah. It was one of the first things I checked, like, oh, this sounds like it's going to be 2 hours long. It's like, oh, this is like Ali G in the House length.
Slow West is a rather quick movie, but it's got a slow pace, but it evens out to a nice degree. We've talked about Shane, the film, on this podcast, and this definitely reminds me of that, as well as The Searchers and True Grit, the original True Grit, perhaps also the Coen brothers one. But it is that, again, that inverse of a lot of those, in which instead of like the companion or the young person that's like the embodiment of the future and the optimism of the future that has been brought about from these old gunslingers of yesteryear, they are the ones that are like, go out and do the thing, and the old timer is the one that has to sacrifice themselves or go out.
Luke dies, Obi-Wan lives.
Yes. But instead it's exactly the case of Silas lives, but he has gained that level of heart, spirit, and optimism of the main character of Jay.
It's like, I was the protagonist too.
And he gets a life. He gets to, be the man who has a family when he did not have a family at the beginning. I like Slow West. I think it's worth checking out. I think everyone should give this a watch. This filmmaker has only just released his second movie.
Yeah, once a decade, looks like.
Tornado, John McLean, Scottish filmmaker. He often did like short films, one of which, again, some with Michael Fassbender. One of them, I think, won Michael Fassbender BAFTA.
Oh, yeah, like a short film or something.
Yeah, short film. I think it was Pitch Black Heist, where it's Michael Fassbender, get this. They're like safecrackers, and he plays a character called Michael. And then Liam Cunningham is the other actor, and he plays a character called Liam. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to just say that. But it's
a funny coincidence. That's an actor's first name.
But his newest film, Tornado, is a samurai movie with a female lead, and I think it's in Scotland. This one, and Tim Roth's in it as a dapper bounty hunter that's trailing after them, very much like a Ben Mendelsohn role. And people either love or hate this movie. It's got like a 5.9 on IMDb, and a lot of the reviews,
that's unappreciated masterpiece.
A lot of the reviews are like, man, for a revenge movie, I thought there was going to be more violence, or why is this movie about talking? And I'm like, I have this on my watch list because I really like Slow West. I'm glad that he's made another movie, but man, I wish you'd make him quicker. Come on, buddy. There's a few of these filmmakers that like make some of the best movies ever, and then they take a good decade to make the next one. I'm forgetting the name of the director. I think Jonathan Glazer, who did Under the Skin, which is like a fantastic sci-fi movie with Scarlett Johansson. And he's like a guy that makes a movie once every like 10, 15 years. And you're like, please make another. Like he did that movie year or two ago, Zone of Interest, the one that's like set
I remember the
near
title.
the concentration camp. It's like about the husband, like a husband and wife story about like this Nazi guy who works at the concentration camp and they live next to it. You never go in the camp, you just hear it in the background of their lives. But he's a filmmaker that's like, I'll make a film once every decade, please, and like, please make more movies faster.
Maybe Monkey Paw Wish is going to happen. He's going to make one more frequently, and they're all going to be like really bad.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, take a break.
It's like the guy who did the cinematography for like Jurassic Park and Halloween, and then he did Jack and Jill, and you're like, oh, all right. I guess Jack Cundy can stop, I guess.
How was the cinematography in that film? I don't remember.
Jack and Jill, it was fantastic. I like the scene where they were at the cinema with their big Cokes displayed to camera. But yeah, Slow West, I recommend. Bartek, do you recommend Slow West?
I like the way you said it. I recommend Bartek.
Yeah.
I also recommend Bartek. I also recommend Ryan, and I also recommend Slow West.
Good. Now, are you ready to hear what the next movie we'll be watching and then talking about is?
Not ready, so just give me a second to pump myself up.
Yeah,
Get ready.
Pump up the jams. Pump it up.
Pump up the
cracking.
Clear my throat.
Do you want to hear something embarrassing?
What?
So, there's the sequence where we meet Michael Fassbender's Silas character.
Mhm.
But before that, a shirtless Native American character runs up to the main character, and he has like the long hair in front of his face, and he's drenched in blood, and he runs away. I guess he lives, by the way. I guess that character lives. I leaned over to Rachel. I said, "Hey, that's Detective Harry Hole," because I thought it was Michael Fassbender because of how jacked he was. Because remember the thing about Snowman was for an alcoholic that sleeps on park benches, he was awfully jacked when we saw his him in a singlet.
So.
Like we're constantly look how absolutely shredded Harry Hole is. And I thought, oh, that's Harry Hole. Like I thought it was Michael Fassbender, and then it wasn't. I was like, I felt like such a fucking idiot because I was like, oh, obviously a shirtless buff guy is Michael Fassbender. Then later on, Michael Fassbender gets not fully unclothed, but unclothed enough where you could see, oh yeah, he's still jacked.
Well, you didn't read the end point of that trivia point. It's like all of the Native Americans played by Maori people, except the one
who was
Michael Fassbender.
Oh yeah, I didn't say this. I hate all the trivia for this movie. Where it's like a bunch of trivia is repeating the same thing, but it's like, did you know the main character gets shot in the heart because she broke his heart? And it's like, yeah. And then then the Salt gets shot, and it's like salt in the wound. I'm like, yeah. And then
he wants to die by bow and arrow, and then he gets shot by a bow, an arrow from a bow.
Yeah, and I just hate the trivia. It just makes a movie sound dumb. When you read it, you're like, oh, that sounds dumb. I guess you could say those things are dumb, but the way they're executed feels appropriate.
All right, I've cleaned the wax out of my ears. I'm ready to listen.
Okay, so next time on our podcast, we're going to be talking about a movie that came recommended from one of the listening people, someone who messaged us a little while ago.
Ah.
Do you know who I'm going to say?
Is it someone who tried bribing us?
They tried to give us financial incentive for us to cover this movie.
What's his name? Trevor, I think it was?
Wedge.
Oh, wow, dox him, why don't you?
Well, if you also publicly comment on our social media, then I think it's fine.
He liked a post the other week.
Yeah, good on you, Trev.
He's paying attention.
We're doing his film recommendation. Do you remember what it is?
It's a Giamatti film. I can't remember the title.
Yes, it's storytelling.
Storytelling.
Which is a Todd Solondz movie, if I'm remembering that's the filmmaker. He well, we'll find out next time what he's like with storytelling.
By the way, we didn't accept the
something or other. Yeah. He's a filmmaker, makes movies.
By the way, we didn't accept the bribe.
We didn't accept it. We're noble people.
We have integrity.
Is that what we have?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Do I not know what that word means?
No. I just didn't believe that we would have that.
It means that we have integrity inside us.
Yeah, that's it. What's integrity?
It's where you, write and editing.
Yes, and great improv skills, but
it's that. I just remembered there was one time. It was like over 10 years ago. I was hanging out with my friends, and the name Hideki Tojo came up. He was the guy in World War II that was leading the Japanese forces.
Oh yes.
So when you have Hitler of Germany, Mussolini of Italy, and Hideki Tojo of Japan. And one of my friends, I think it was Jono, didn't know who that was. I'm like, you don't know who Hideki Tojo was? It's like, no, who is he? And I said, he's the Japanese guy. And then I got called out for, not going into specifics about who he was.
He's the Japanese guy. Who was the leader of Poland during World War II? Do you know? It would be really embarrassing if you didn't know that.
I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Who the president was.
Did they have a president at that point?
Was he in the camps?
Yeah, well, I don't think so.
Was he in the best camp or the worst camp?
I think he was in the bullet camp. But
I'll look it up later.
That is our discussion. Thank you all so much for listening. Remember to check out Storytelling next time on the podcast. 2001 film, by the way, starring Paul Giamatti and several other people we like to see on the podcast. one actress in particular stood out to me, and I said, oh, I can't wait for her to play the exact same character she always does, but she's great at playing it. I can't wait. I don't know if that's true. I've never seen this movie, but I'm just imagining, oh, well, she's going to play that character because we've always seen her play this character in every movie ever, so I can't wait for her to do it again. I don't know anything about it other than I know who Todd Solondz is as a filmmaker. I've seen one of his other movies, and boy, is it a movie. But until then, you can follow us on social medias of Facebook and Twitter. If you want to contact us more directly, you can do so over where, Bartek? Where can people contact us more directly?
You can do that on x.com, Spit and Polish Presents. You can do that on Facebook, Spit and Polish Presents. We have our YouTube channel where all of our episodes get uploaded. That's also Spit and Polish Presents. And if you want, you can email us directly, and that email address is spitandpolished@gmail.com.
Wow. Thank you so much for letting us know that it was spit and polished@gmail.com. That is all we've got for you today, listening people. So if you're somewhat of importance in the Hollywood world, and you're listening to this, I know we have insiders listening. Sometimes, directors of movies reach out to us and say, hey, can we talk about what you said about my movie? And then we don't contact them back because it's been too long since we've watched Jack Hunter and the Treasure of the Ugarit, and we can't remember what we said.
The Lost Treasure of the Ugarit.
Yeah, you round out my point of where we've forgotten a lot of details. But if you're a Hollywood insider and you listen to this, could you please tell Michael Fassbender to keep making real movies? Could you please, pretty please? I would love it if you could rein him in and just say, Michael, get back to making real films. Not this fucking Alien Covenant bullshit.
And if you're one of those controversial big Hollywood people, don't talk to us because we have integrity. And I think that you will compromise the integrity of Spit and Polish Presents Pictures Powwow if you contacted us and we responded.
What's integrity again? What is it again, Marta? Could you remind me what we landed on, what it is?
Thing inside us, It's not the shit, it's not the bones, it's not the meat, it's the integrity, man.